All right, it's that time of the year. It is top movies time. I'm not doing 10, I'm doing 19 just because, I don't know. I gave 19 movies, a good enough grade that I felt like I should put them on the list, so that's where we're at. But yeah, three movies I should mention that I did not put on the list just because I haven't seen yet, but I could easily see becoming part of the list. American Fiction is one that I'm really looking forward to. Hasn't been, these movies just haven't been in theaters yet for me. The Zone of Interest, and then also All of Us Strangers. Movies I plan on checking out. I'll possibly make videos on them once we get there. But for now, let's just count down my top 19 movies of 2023 that I've seen so far. Because, of course, plenty of movies that I'm sure there'll be some French movie I watch in 7 years that'll change my life. But until then, these are my top picks. Number 19 is Saltburn. Emerald Fennell. I've enjoyed both movies she's made, but I've also had criticisms about both of them as well. I haven't loved either of them, I guess I would say, but I still really enjoyed this movie. I made a whole video on this already if you're interested in more of my deep thoughts and what worked and what didn't. But at the end of the day, it's one of the more unique movies, so definitely had to make the cutoff that I chose arbitrarily of 19. So, it's, again, I chose the movies that I want to talk about on a list like this. I kind of went down until I said, yeah, got to put these on the list. So it makes the list. But yeah, let's move up on the list a little bit. Number 18 is May December, a movie that's had a lot of discourse about it. A lot of people have talked about specific, certain aspects of it. And it's one of those things where I kind of made my review and said, I don't know if I fully got all of it. And well, I've heard a lot of interesting theories about it. Again, I can only make talk about my own experience watching a movie. That's great that other people got more out of it. I was not one of those people. A lot of just unique things like what is camp, what is, all these different aspects of it. I don't know. In it, what is melodrama, all that stuff. I personally am not very well versed in melodrama, so it's possible that's part of why it's lower on my list than it is on others. But I don't know. Acting was fun. Editing was fun. Music was fun. It was an enjoyable movie. I don't know. I still liked it for what it meant for me, even if it meant more for other people. Number 17, I'm going Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not a crazy, this kind of movie person typically. There is another kind of this movie that we'll talk about in the next spot that's sort of similar, but I don't know, it did what I wanted it to do. I was really not expecting much from it, but it was kind of at a time in the year where there wasn't a lot out, and so, that's my fiance Stephanie and I were like, let's go see this one, and it ended up being a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. It's not a masterpiece, but it's not trying to be, so I had a blast. It's at 17. Number 16, Godzilla Minus One. Made a whole video about this as well. Again, not a huge action movie fan typically, but this movie did a really good job with what it was trying to do. I still would probably say that some of the, it did slow down at parts for me personally. There were points when I was waiting for the giant lizard to come back up. That's just me personally, but giant lizard stuff was fun. Had a good time with all of that. So yeah, number 16. Number 15, Infinity Pool, which is a movie that honestly I could see climbing this ranking the more and more I think about it. And already, I believe I originally gave it a 7 out of 10. I bumped that up to 8 out of 10, and I could see it getting higher too. I still think I probably stand by my main criticism of it, which was, at the end of the day, I'm not exactly sure what all of it meant, although some of it, there were some social commentary aspects of it, but some just felt kind of weird for weird's sake. That being said, I like the weird stuff, and this was a good year for weird movies, and this movie definitely had its weird to it, but had more than just that. It was, I felt a bit more substantive than, say, Saltburn, which I thought maybe was a bit more style over substance, even though I enjoyed both films. So, yeah, and again, just big fan of Mia Goth. Whatever she's doing, I'm enjoying. Number 14, Elemental is a movie. I really enjoyed Elemental. It was kind of one of those things that I felt like quite frankly, I wrote it off right away and said, okay, another Pixar kind of whatever, blah, blah movie that no one really seems to be that into. But I found this movie to be very emotionally heartwarming. The ending was, I thought, great. And just the movie in general, the romance worked for me. I liked all of the world and how interesting it was. I don't know. This was a fun movie. Not every movie has to be, Citizen Kane. This one is a very, it's a romance story. It's a story about, what it's like to be a second generation immigrant, which is something that, it's very personal to the filmmaker who made it. And it's just an entertaining movie. What else could you want for it? It's number 14 here. Number 13, though, another animated movie. This is my highest rated animated movie, The Boy and Herman, which is a movie that, again, it's taken me a while to, I believe I tried to make this as its own video, and I just couldn't get the words right. I did talk about it when I made my 5 interesting foreign films, so, again, if you want to hear a little bit more thoughts, you can check that out. Very just, again, if Elemental is very much kind of like a great sort of more standard story, this is a great, very much non-standard narrative. It is definitely not a traditional narrative, and because of that, sometimes it will slow down a little bit, especially when you're not exactly sure what certain parts are meant to be for, what it is, meant to represent, all of that stuff. That being said, so much of it worked for me, and maybe my favorite score of the year. It is, it's on this list at 13. Number 12, Rotting in the Sun, another movie that was on my, interesting foreign movies to watch. Just a really fun time. Again, one that really took me by surprise. Kind of watched it on a whim and was really, again, found it enjoyable. As I mentioned in my other review, a lot of male nudity in this one, so just be warned if that's not your thing. But again, if you can get past that, I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice, for me personally, to not give it a shot, because there is so much good stuff in that, and it's just one of the more entertaining films that I've seen all year, so it's at number 12. Number 11 is Poor Things, which I'll be honest was maybe my most anticipated movie going into this year. I like Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm not like a stan of his, but I enjoy his work. I have seen, I believe, all of his movies, or at least almost all his movies, if not all of them. Because he's done a lot of shorts and stuff that I haven't seen, but like for features. And a big fan of Emma Stone and kind of the interesting directions that she's taken her career. Big fan of The Curse so far. Looking forward to seeing how they wrap that up. Maybe I'll make a video on my thoughts on that once season 1 ends. I don't know. But as a whole, I enjoyed this movie. I did a lot. It felt like it was missing something. And I don't know exactly what. Maybe it was an emotional pull. Maybe could have been something that would have had it go higher on the list. But at the end of the day, I think it did exactly what it was trying to do. It's unlike any other movie I saw this year, so deserves a lot of credit there. It's here at number 11. But yeah, let's get into now the 10 movies that I have in my actual top 10. Number 10 is Oppenheimer. I know some people are going to have this as their number 1 movie of the year. It was a lot of fun. Again, I'm typically a Christopher Nolan hater, basically. I'm not, someone who loves a lot of his movies. I think I've enjoyed some of them, but, even the ones that I enjoy, seems like some people enjoy more than me, which is, again, that's part of how movies work. It's not going to have the same impact on everybody, but this one I really loved. This one I thought was great. This is kind of Christopher Nolan at his best. There's still a couple of those Nolanisms in there, but that's fine. I enjoyed all of the, I enjoyed the score. I enjoyed the incredibly fast-paced nature of it. I enjoyed the editing, and I thought that the bomb sequence was fantastic and one of my favorite movie moments of the year. So big fan of Oppenheimer. I do have it here at 10. And number 9, it's I didn't do this intentionally, but Barbie and Oppenheimer right next to each other. I did give the slight edge to Barbie, I suppose. I don't know. This, again, I'm just, whatever Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach do, I'm usually a fan. Like, in fact, the fact that the movie that they both made that was number 9 on my list is probably like as low as if I made a list like this every year. It's probably way lower than you're typically going to see. I'm just, for whatever reason, everything they do, it's directly for me. Like, their kind of humor, their kind of storytelling is exactly for me. I don't know. It's just probably the most fun I had in a movie theater, all year. I thought it was great. And again, I did do a double feature. It was Oppenheimer first and then Barbie, and it was a blast. And I want to go rewatch both of them right now, so maybe I'll do that after this video. Number 8 is Killers of the Flower Moon, which I talked about. It seems like this has like a 100% approval rating, basically. It seems like everyone that I listen to liked this movie. Everyone I talked to liked this movie. It's a little bit slower, for sure. I think there are some negative aspects of it, just the pacing. I think you can argue. I would still probably say they could have made it under 3 hours if they wanted, but you know what? It's a longer movie. Okay, fine. I enjoyed it, and I thought that so much of what it meant was just incredibly important and really just great work by Martin Scorsese to not only make a movie this powerful, but also kind of talk about his place and the fact that, it is him who is making the movie and what that means. I made a whole video on this movie, so check that out. But big fan of Killers of the Flower Moon. Number 7 is a movie I watched not too long ago and was actually really pleasantly surprised by. They Cloned Tyrone was a really fun movie. It actually came out during the Barbenheimer stuff, but just due to it being, a smaller movie and coming out at that time, went really under the radar. But I mean, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, there's two kind of movies I love. There's the kind of movie that's just like perfect across the board, like there's no flaws. And this movie is not that. Like, there are some moments, like certain scene transitions, getting from one scene to the next, got a little bit clunky. I believe some of the writers on this also were credited with like the Space Jam remake, which is like, it's crazy to think that I'm putting them on this list. But hey, you can get better as a writer. Novel concept. Maybe one thing doesn't work out, and I never saw. I think I watched like 20 minutes of it at a friend's house once, but that's all I've seen of that one. So maybe it's unfair for me to judge. I don't think it is. I think it's fair. That one was not received very well. This movie, though, much better. And like I said, there were a couple of writing moments that did bug me. Like one was Jamie Foxx's character just says like, I want to eat, chicken. Let's go get some chicken. And then they go do that like just randomly out of the blue. And then like later on, we find out that scene actually matters, like for them to be at that specific place. It's like, okay, maybe you could have, it bugged me. I don't know how much other people would have bugged. There's some moments like that, but I thought that what this movie was going for, and especially the ending, which I thought was fantastic. It was just a really, really entertaining movie. And again, really just fascinating film. So yeah, that's at number 7. Number 6 is Monster, another movie I talked about in my foreign films video, 5 foreign films that I would recommend. Just a masterclass. Well, I said there were some writing issues and They Cloned Tyrone, despite the fact that I still really enjoyed that movie, and the good more than made up for the bad there. Monster has no writing issues. I have no notes here. There's no point where I'm like, oh, that was a little clunky done. In fact, it's kind of a masterclass in when to reveal information. I do think these top 6 are like, to me, like just complete masterpieces. So this one definitely one of them. Talked about it more in the other video. Check that out, or just check out the movie. It's really good watch. Number 5 is Anatomy of a Fall, another one in the foreign movie thing. So again, hope you don't mind subtitles, because I'm using some subtitles here. But again, those are great movies as well. This one I thought, again, really another interesting one. Another great job of showing when to show certain things, what to tell and what not to tell, when to do that, and kind of the point that it's bringing across, done in such a unique way. And just a fantastic film. It's in my top 5. Number 4 is Past Lives for me, which is a movie that when I walked out of it, I was like, well, there it is. There's my favorite movie of the year. We don't even have to watch the rest of them. I know which one's going to be number 1 on my list. And I still feel as strongly as I've felt about it. There's been 3 other movies that I was even more impressed with that have come out later on in the year that has bumped up above Past Lives. But it's fantastic. Again, the love story really worked on me. I thought that the story it was trying to tell was just really fantastic to me. And I just, again, it was just a very emotionally impactful movie for me. So because of that, absolutely, it has to be high up on the list. I'm putting it at 4. Number 3 is Beyond Utopia. This is the only documentary I have on this list. It's a documentary that shows it's really 2 different stories, but it kind of centers around someone who his job is to help people escape from North Korea and get them to South Korea, which is just kind of a amazing that they were able to make something like this. It doesn't use any footage that is, like reenactments. Every frame of footage that you see is real footage. Now, they have a couple like drawings just for specific things that they can't get, but everything else is, real footage of what actually happens. And it's terrifying because the way you have to escape from there, at least the way they do it, is they go over a river from North Korea into China. But it's not China. If they catch you, they're going to send you right back to North Korea, and not good things are going to happen if North Korea finds out you tried to escape. So you have to go through them. You have to go through a couple other countries till you can finally get to Thailand, where then you can escape that way. And so it kind of travels that journey from when you're outside of North Korea, but still trying to make sure they don't get caught. And it's probably the most suspenseful movie you will see. It did use a score almost like you would see out of like a thriller, which I don't know if was fully necessary, but still, incredibly just impactful movie and very harrowing and fascinating. It's number 3 on my list. Number 2 is Priscilla, which is a movie that when I made this my video on it, I said it might be my favorite movie of the year. I wasn't expecting a ton from it. I really wasn't. I thought it would be good. I thought it would be something that would make a list like this, right? Because I like Sofia Coppola, but the buzz around it wasn't like otherworldly. Like there was some buzz like, oh hey, this is a good movie, and I was blown away by it. I thought that the way it kind of puts you in the young girl's shoes and almost makes you can see why she wanted to date Elvis, and you're almost like rooting for it to happen, even though it shouldn't be happening, which is just such a fascinating development, such a fascinating situation that you find yourselves in, and the way it, again, uses so much subtlety in how it tells its story. Just fantastic. I have a whole video about this, so check that out. But yeah, this is number 2. I thought it might be number 1. Quite frankly, Beyond Utopia I never had in my number 1 list, but Past Lives, Priscilla, and my actual number 1 I had at number 1 at some point in my head when I was thinking about making this video at some point, but no movie impacted me more than my number 1 pick. It is Beau is Afraid, which is a very hit or miss movie. There are people who, like me, think it's one of the best movies they've seen in years. There are some other people who disagree and say this wasn't even a good movie. Like, why did Ari Aster make this? What's going on here? I loved everything about this movie. I've gone back and seen it multiple times. I'm going to purchase it at some point. I'm holding out hope that there's one of those, like, I like to collect movies physically, so every now and then A24 does one of those like special box set things. If they did one for Beau is Afraid, I would just buy it outright instantly. I was kind of holding out hope that maybe that'll happen eventually. Maybe I'll bite the bullet and get a Blu-ray, and then if they do that, I'll have 2 copies. I don't know, but I just thought it was really interesting, and I thought that there were so many more layers there than people were giving it credit for. People were I felt a lot of people said, yeah, we get it, Ari Aster, mommy issues, whatever, let's move on. There's so much more there than just that. I think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just reading into it, but that's part of the beauty of this movie, is that you can take away so much out of it. You can be like me and think every single frame something mattered and there was a point to every single thing. Or you can be someone who says, I don't think as much matter, but there were still some really incredible sequences just from a surface level perspective. I like movies like this that pick things apart. I have Synecdoche, New York as my favorite movie of all time. That's the one I usually pick when people ask me. So, like, people said this is a ripoff of that movie. Hey, Ari Aster ripping off that movie. I'm a fan. I'm enjoying it. So I don't know. I think no movie, to me, I think will stand the test of time that I'll look back at 10 years from now and say, yeah, that movie is awesome, more than Beau is Afraid. So that's why I have it here as my own personal number 1 pick. But yeah, those are my picks. Let me know, is there a movie that you love that I didn't put on my list? Put it in the comments below. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. Do you agree? I guess you can't really agree or disagree, right? It's my list. But do you also have similar opinions about these movies that I have? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.